Good afternoon, my friends, and welcome to the Tony C. Davis Show, coming to you by way of the Raven International Network and the amazing women and men of power. Again, I am your host, Tony C. Davis, where we share everything from faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun, and anything in between. So if you have some valuable content you'd like to share, reach out to me at thetcdshow@gmail.com. That's thetcdshow@gmail.com, and we can share your valuable content. So stay tuned for this week's show. And so this morning we have a two-time guest, Miss Patti Ann Ridgway. How you doing, Patti?
I'm great, Tony. Thank you.
Appreciate you for joining us again a second time. You and I were just discussing, I think we met 5 or 6 years ago and did our first interview 4 years ago. And that was when I was on another platform, and you are still going in the same direction, helping people with your ministry. And so for those that are just tuning in and those that may catch us later, again, we appreciate you for joining us. And I would ask that Patti Ann just share a little bit about yourself and why are you here?
All right. Well, I'm here because you invited me back, Tony. So
that's a good one.
Thank you again. I appreciate this because I feel with my ministry, every person exposed is a prayer answered. So a little bit about myself. I'm a mom of 5 grown children. I have 11 grandbabies. I say my faith, my family, and feeding people are my passion. And I love sharing my spiritual journey. I love sharing what I believe is my divine appointment. And again, it's just something that weighs heavy on my heart. Whenever anyone asks me to share it, I'm more than happy to do that because so many people right now are hungry physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. And what I do actually feeds people in all of those areas. And the glory goes to God because it was a gift from Him. So that's my story, basically.
Well, one thing that you and I are totally in agreement in is our faith. Tell us a little bit about your faith and how it has impacted not only your life, but let's say your family's life and those that you come in contact with.
So my faith, I was raised in a Christian home. I went to 12 years of Catholic school. So I was always close to Jesus, but I had a real awakening when I was 13. And, there were times in my life where I went through trials and tribulations, as we all do. But, on this side of it, looking back, I see God's handwriting and the spotlights, on the times in my life where He walked with me and sometimes carried me. Yeah. So I believe we're given these tests and trials and tribulations so that we can then be a testimony and share those times with people, give them faith and to shed light into their situations. And it's been such a blessing with my children because I can, breathe that faith and that life into their lives. And when they're going through troubles or struggles, I can then say to them, I could say to them, I can see where God's working, whereas sometimes they can't see it in the midst of it. So with my business, it's the same way. When people are challenged with some things in life, whether it be their health, which is my traditional business, with their financial situation, with looking for community or fellowship, with looking for how we can be His hands and feet in the marketplace. My faith carries into all parts of what I do in my family and in my business.
Well, would it be safe for me to say that you, with your faith, you have more of a kingdom assignment? Because I know that Jesus came preaching the message of the kingdom. Sometimes we miss it and think it's all about just our local church. But, from what I see, you have a kingdom assignment.
Well, I say my business is mission driven and kingdom building. And I do believe the industry that I'm in is, a divinely inspired business model because the only way I benefit or get helped is by lifting down and lifting others, reaching down and lifting others. And I believe it was a divine appointment, the direction that my business went in 5 years into it, which has been 5 years ago. So it's been 10 years, but God definitely took me down a different road. At the beginning, I was creating wealth through wellness, and now I teach people how to create wealth through contribution. So it's absolutely a divine appointment. And I'm really blessed that God chose me. I believe that the gifts that he gives us, we don't see it. We see it in retrospect, but the
Yeah.
gifts that he gives us are meant to be used. We're all here for a purpose. We were all designed for that purpose, a long time ago before we were on the earth. So it's just wonderful to be able to walk in that. It really is. I feel blessed, and I give God the glory because he has led me into this.
Yeah, and I failed to mention in the introduction, you're called or considered a holistic health coach and social entrepreneur. And so, as you use your skill sets, of course, you reach a lot of people. Tell me about how you got the call to do what you're doing, because you and I have talked about it, but let our audience know.
Okay, so when I first got into this industry, I stumbled upon it. Actually, I stumbled upon it getting ready for church one day, so that was my first clue. I was working 3 other jobs at the time, and I was really in a bad point in my life, physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually. So I got led into this business, and I didn't understand why, but it dramatically changed my physical health, and then it had an effect on my financial health. Again, the whole gamut. And then 5 years in, as I was doing what I do with my job, I heard God tell me to take this business model instead of consuming like we are all doing in most, in life, we're consuming. To take this business model and use it to collaborate with other people and to create and to contribute. So originally I was consuming a product that helped me physically, and I was teaching other people to do the same thing, and it created revenue. So now I just take it and I create wealth through contribution. I teach people how to give this product away to the hungry, to feed the hungry. And I build teams of feeding ministries, build teams of other givers who understand, I teach them to understand the business model. And I just rethought the network marketing industry a little bit and use it to bless others. So I'm actually in the business of feeding people who need this product way more, than we need to consume it.
And I want to take a moment, just a minute, to give a shout out to Kathy, Nancy, Lori, all of you who are watching live. We appreciate your stopping by. Maybe some others also. Karen, thank you again. When you talk about your ministry, and again, this is a ministry, and you just mentioned, I guess you kind of, as you said, I think you said, tweak the network marketing model for a minute. Was this your own system?
No, I partnered with a global health and wellness company, an amazing company who contribution runs through their veins. So I've partnered with them for 10 years, and I just, we share a business model. And so I just take this business model and just tweak it a little bit. And like I said, as opposed to consuming, I do still consume the product. I love the product. And I still have a part of my traditional business where others are consuming the product, and benefiting financially. But to give the product away and utilize their business model for the product, for the distribution and the compensation has blessed me beyond measure. It's so much more in alignment with, I look back and I see that this was God's plan. It just, he needed to groom me a little bit. He needed to prune me a little bit. And sometimes pruning hurts, but I hung in there because I just really leaned into where he was leading me and his word and what I was seeing was going on in the world. And right now, for such a time as this, yeah, so many people are hungry. So many people are losing their job. These food pantries now are not getting the supplies they need. So it's just God's timing to roll this out as he sees fit.
And I wanted to touch on, because you said that I had to make a note right here, because the time that we're in now, we mentioned it before we came on. I have never seen anything like this. You've never seen anything like this. I'm talking about with this COVID-19. First of all, how has it impacted your ministry, your mission? And there has to be a positive side to this. So how is
So it really, oh, Tony, I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I didn't mean to interrupt. So it really hasn't impacted my business at all. It's actually, my business is growing because people are ordering online, you know, superfoods, products that, you know, we're having trouble getting out these days or getting to the store. It also has been a blessing to my team because they're still getting paid through this business model. So it really hasn't impacted my traditional business. My ministry, what it's done is it's given me even more faith and inspiration as to how I can grow this. Right now, I just reached out to some friends of mine who are nurses for a point of contact at the hospitals that they work at, because we can actually, you know, typically I give the product to food shelters and pantries, and now we can actually provide food for hospital workers, for those are, you know, our healthcare providers, because they're working long, hard hours, and to give them great nutrition. You know, they're probably surviving on coffee and things that aren't the healthiest for them. So it's just, again, it's allowed me to create and collaborate on a different level, and think of, you know, ways that this feeds so many people, you know, not just the hungry, people who are hungry physically. It just feeds so many people emotionally and spiritually. Times like these, we tend to go inside, Tony, you know, I don't mean literally, but we look inside and we, you know, we go into that place of fear or scarcity. But when we really are God's hands and feet, and when we do what he tells us to do, what he's commissioned us to do, you know, to reach out and love and serve others and to create disciples, when we do those things, you know, we can get through these times with so much more faith and hope and confidence. And, you know, we can meet the needs of those who aren't feeling that way right now.
Well, I'll tell you, as you're speaking, there's so many thoughts going through my mind because I see people popping up. A good friend of mine, Beverly McCain, appreciate you for joining also. And as I try to transition, we're talking about this virus. It should open people's eyes. I'm talking about in the marketplace. You need more than one stream of income. There are jobs that are, I think it was like 6 million people signed up for unemployment within the last week or so. 10 million total, I think, because the previous week was like 3 to 4 million. So close to 10 million people signing up for unemployment. And when you have just one stream of income, you hit hard because the bills keep coming regardless.
Yes.
So you are using a ministry that helps people that also provides for your family.
Absolutely. It creates residual income, which is, we have residual bills, right, Tony? I mean,
residual.
Everybody can relate to those residual bills that keep coming.
Mine come every month.
Yes. Yes. So if that's the beauty of this, I mean, it's sort of a win-win, because if we can create revenue by doing good, I mean, it really almost seems like it's too good to be true, but that's where the teaching and mentoring part comes in, and a little bit of understanding, you know, of the industry and how it works. But, you know, we're just utilizing a business model to bless people. And in turn, we're blessed. You know, we're blessed to be a blessing, and to see thousands who have been blessed by my saying yes to doing this 10 years ago. And then now thousands blessed by receiving food, you know, that at such a time as this, that's so needed. It's just like I am honored that God chose me to do this. And I feel it's, you know, I could really stay comfortable in my traditional business. You know, I don't have any more children to educate. I could stay very comfortable there, but God has called me. And like I spoke to you before we got on here, when he speaks, I listen. I've learned to listen, Tony.
Well, we mentioned, you know, earlier, some of the things that lead to success, or maybe I was thinking about it. But one thing I noticed that you do that we talked about, you don't watch TV. So a lot of people, when it comes to business, even spending time with God, they say, well, I don't have time. I'm the type of person to believe that everybody has the same amount of time. The most successful people in the world have the exact same amount of time, but they do something positive with their time. They don't waste time. You don't watch TV. How can somebody, you know, who may think they don't have time be successful in what you do? Well, I guess I should ask, what is your method of operation?
Well, Tony, what I'm going to say is that you can do this in the pockets of your time. And with this business model, we leverage time and people. So, if I work 10 hours a week and I have 5 people on my team working 10 hours a week, I am then paid on 60 hours as opposed to just my 10. So that's a beautiful thing. I mean, it fits into the pockets of your time. And it's what's our priority? I mean, what is our priority? I have the leisure now, at my age, and again, my kids are grown and out of the house, to sit in prayer and dialogue with God. What I call my power hour every morning usually turns into 2.5. But I have that leisure, but a lot of people don't. And what I share to them is what are your priorities? What are you looking to accomplish? TV is just sort of, my dad, it's so funny. My dad used to call it an idiot box. And I never understood that years ago, but it truly just, it's just numbing us, whereas if we could get on podcasts and we could get on, read our books, as you could see, and you too, Tony, I see behind you, I am an avid reader. If we could just it's feeding ourselves. What are we feeding ourselves? That's so important. It's not just the physical food that we should be eating properly. It's what we're feeding our minds, because, we need to be an open vessel through which things can flow. And if we're feeding it that television set, it's not the food that's going to give us manna for today. It's going to give us.
A couple of things. I'm sorry if I interrupt you, but while I'm thinking about it, how do you lead a team in a time like this?
Well, I try and be an inspiration and an encouragement. We're using, Zoom trainings to share what we do. We're, again, I incorporate a lot of the Bible and spirituality and my daily readings and my daily conversations into my business, because I think, especially now, people need that encouragement and that help and that hope. So, I lean into how I can bring, heaven into my business, and then pour that forth into people that will show them that this is a viable way to make a living, like you say, a viable way to create revenue that's going to pay us long after the initial work is done. And by doing it, by being his hands and feet and doing his work is just is what I try and teach people, on our trainings.
Okay. Well, I don't know, if you're prepared to talk about this or actually name the particular company you're working with. Some people do, some people prefer not to. But if you'd like to share information about your company that you're working with, the project that you have, again, we've talked about Project Feed It Forward, but how, and I think I got that right, Feed Forward, I'm sorry, and how you all are working, but what company have you partnered with, if you choose to share that? If not, you can definitely have people contact you after the show.
Sure. So as I mentioned, I partner with a global health and wellness company called Isogenics. And it went hand in hand with my being a holistic health coach. I have fallen in love with their culture, with the integrity of their product, with the integrity of the people and the passion and the purpose of everyone in our company. So that is the company that I join hands with. And again, I have taken their business model and I use them for their product, which I distribute their meal bars, which are a total meal replacement. And, I won't get into the logistics of it, but it's a product of great integrity and it is a total meal replacement. And that's another thing that's so important to me, because the food that travels through our pantries and shelters and, is not the best quality of food. So shelters and pantries love receiving this. My husband and I take a trip in our camper every year down the East Coast and deliver. And so that's really important to me, because brains need to be fed proper nutrition. So I take and I use them for that, or the company will distribute for me. I mean, they'll distribute to the 18 countries that we are in, or any service base. And then I use them for their compensation. Again, the compensation is, I believe, our company's best product. The way the compensation rolls out in this network marketing company is one that blesses beyond measures. Teach people how strictly just to use this compensation plan to be paid to feed people.
So you're feeding people or serving people spiritually, physically, financially,
And emotionally. So many people are hungry for people
yeah.
are hungry for fellowship, Tony. People are stuck behind their computers and and television sets. People are looking for purpose, for passion, for something to lock arms with other people with. We just build teams and so many people, Tony, too, if you think about it with Project Feed It Forward, it's a way to create time and financial freedom so that you can then go and do whatever it is that you're really passionate about, whether it is, being a minister or just your traditional job, whatever it is you do. It creates that freedom that you can go and do that. And also, so many people are passionate about, my passion is to feed people. I've had that passion all my life, but a lot of people are passionate about a cause, maybe Parkinson's or maybe diabetes, and they do these bake sales, or they do these car washes. Why not raise funds by feeding people? Like, there's just so many opportunities to utilize this business model and to create revenue for yourself or your company or your ministry or your passion, and to do it by doing good, by being, it's truly just bringing heaven to earth, is what I say.
Well, one of my, and I'm going to wrap this up for us, but one of my mentors told me, whenever you're getting started in business or ministry, whatever you're doing, you got to set some goals. You have to set some goals, and setting goals means writing them down. And I would suspect that you write your goals down.
I do write my goals down. I write my goals down, not only my goals, but I try and write down the visions and aspirations I have for my team, for how many people they can then go out and feed, and how many people we can lock arms with and feed in a year. I know a couple of years ago we did a Feed with Love campaign for Valentine's Day, and our goal was to feed 15,000 people in that month, and we overstepped that boundary, which was wonderful. So I do try, and every year that we take our trip, I try and provide even more bars, and then I do feed 50 people monthly through my company just as a donation. It is part of my business, obviously, but so I do write down my goals, my long-term goals, and they tie in with my spiritual goals. So it's just a beautiful thing for me.
And Laura says vision board, vision board.
That's so funny she says that, because I actually have one that hangs over my bed for Project Feed It Forward. I have my vision board that's behind me, behind my desk. Yeah. And I also have a virtual one that I did on Canva with one of my pastors. So I love vision boards.
Well, again, Patti, I appreciate you for coming. Anything else you'd like to share about Project Feed Forward?
Project Feed It Forward. You can visit our YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page. I'm more than happy to, just to chat with you and see what it is that you're looking, what you're passionate about, and see if this could tie in at all with anybody. I so appreciate your having me on again, Tony. And I love following you. I'm one that's passionate about honoring our temple, and I know you are too. So you're always posting things about that gets me fired up, Tony. So I appreciate the inspiration and the the influence you've had on me, Tony. Thank you.
Well, again, I appreciate you for your time. And guys, I believe if you want to save more money, make more money, get out of debt, and have some time freedom, reach out to Patti Ann Ridgway. And I believe she has a way to help you accomplish that mission. Patti, would you leave us with some final words of encouragement?
Final words of encouragement. Just, just keep your eyes and ears open for where God's leading you, because, we get so caught up in the flesh every day, Tony, just in, like you say, our residual bills. And right now there's COVID-19, and, we get caught up in the flesh. And, before my feet hit the floor every day, I ask God to let me be open and aware as to who and what you're putting on my path today, because they're there for a reason, and I need to be open and available and looking for that reason so that I can love and serve the Lord.
Patti, I believe you are a great servant leader. And I'm sure a lot of people are blessed to know you. I'm blessed to know you. I appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us this morning. Guys, again, reach out to Patti. Patti, if you would, go in and drop your contact information in the comment section so people can reach out to you. Definitely want to continue to share your information, continue to be a blessing to others. Guys, Tony C. Davis here with the Tony C. Davis Show, where we share faith, family, fitness, finance, fun, anything in between. And I pray that the favor of the Father goes before you all. You all have a blessed day.
Thank you, Tony. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Stay healthy.
Hey guys, so that's a wrap for another show. I really do appreciate you for joining us today. I hope that you found some value in today's show. Now listen, if you have some valuable content to share, reach out to me at thetcdshow@gmail.com, thetcdshow@gmail.com. We'll share your valuable content with the world. Now listen, also you can follow me live on Facebook where I actually do some live recording. So I appreciate you, my friends. And in the words of my good friend, Mr. Willis Wright, I'll see you at the top or from the top, because the bottom is definitely way too crowded. God bless.